All right, fire 'em up!
Black History Month 2025 is going to go down as one of the wildest months I have ever had in my lifetime. You have a black man from Canada who is now retired but played high-level NHL hockey, telling the truth about American basketball players and what they need to do to make their league better. I didn't have that on my bingo card. What's up, everybody? I'm Jake Alexander, the voice in the void, the lone wolf, your favorite host with a lisp. Welcome to the Twee'quel podcast. Welcome back. I am so happy that you are all here. This is your first time. Hey, thanks for rocking with me. You didn't have to, but I'm so glad you decided to stop by. And if you've been rocking with us for a while, thanks. We got plenty of older episodes for all you new viewers. Just go check them out. I'm pretty sure you'll find something. We got not a lot of stuff to do today. We're going to talk about some news, but we're going to talk about everything PK Subban had to say about the NBA after All-Star Weekend. And believe me, everything he said was the absolute truth, and I'll tell you exactly why. Plus, we're also going to talk about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man and why it wasn't the perfect Spider-Man series, especially animated series, but it was still really good. But before we get into any of that, make sure you hit the like and share and subscribe button for me. Do all that stuff. I need all the help to make the channel grow. So let's get right into it with the news. First up in the news, we say rest in peace to Violetta Wallace, the mother of slain rapping icon Notorious B.I.G. She passed away on the 21st. It is said that she's been in hospice care for a while now and that the cause of her death is indeed just natural. Ever since her son was killed, she's been a steward for her son's legacy and for his estate. When he passed away, his estate was $10 million, but as she has passed away and over the years, she has grown it to $160 million, and she has taken care of his granddaughter Tiana, so she will actually have enough to take care of herself going into the future. She's also been a outspoken advocate against gun violence and the black community coming together to stop pulling ourselves apart. Such a wonderful woman. I actually got to meet her one time briefly when I went to New York a few years back. She was very nice in that little brief interaction. So to see her go is it's very sad. Like I said, she survived by her granddaughter Tiana Wallace, and her passing away, she was only 78 years old. At the box office, number one movie in America, to much of a lot of people's anger, Captain America Brave New World shooting out to $211 million over the opening weekend and the week leading up to today. Paddington in Peru comes in at number 2 at $108 million worldwide. Heart Eyes holding on to number 3 at $24.8 million now worldwide, and that's before this weekend's totals, so it'll be a little higher going into it. A lot of people are saying with the drop off going into the second week now of Captain America that the movie's a bomb, but they've already made their money back, folks. So you can just be mad all you want to. The movie has already made money. It's doing well. A lot of people are all pissed off that Captain America is now black, but this is comic book accurate. So if you have a problem with Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson being Captain America, then just say you've never read comic books whatsoever. Paddington in Peru, kids movie, it's going to do what it's going to do. Heart Eyes, I don't even want to see it, but I got a feeling I need to go sit down and watch it. So I want to sit down and watch it. If I actually think it's something worth talking about, we'll talk about it later. But I'm happy to see Captain America Brave New World doing so well. Still with Marvel, over the past couple of days, we've actually gotten a special look vignette and another trailer for Daredevil Born Again. So it won't spoil things. I won't spoil things and start talking about either one of them here, because honestly, we need to get away from watching so many trailers and them putting so much into trailers. Trailers need to be a lot shorter. I think 30 seconds, maybe 45 seconds of not highlights, but just stuff to give you a general idea of what's going on in the movie. That's where trailers need to go. But if you haven't seen them, don't go watch them. I'm pretty sure a lot of what is going to happen in Daredevil Born Again, you're going to want to be surprised as it happens. So don't watch the vignette, don't watch the new trailer, because trust me, it's a lot of stuff that's going to spoil it. But just know, for me, I have seen them. Just know they both look really good. I think we are going to enjoy Daredevil Born Again, and I can't wait for the continuation of it. And speaking of Daredevil, you got to remember, he was one of the Netflix shows, and the team up of all those Netflix shows was called The Defenders. Well, Brad Winderbaum, he has said that each of those members outside of Daredevil, who already has his own show and is soon to come in March, he has said that all of those Defenders are actively being looked at to be incorporated into the MCU. They'll get their own show. I doubt very seriously if any of these characters will get movies. They'll probably just show up in movies later on, but each of those characters will probably get their own show going forward on Disney Plus. And he's like I said, he's actively looking for ways to develop them and bring them into the MCU. That's why they haven't done it yet. They haven't figured out how to take these characters, these street level characters, and put them in the MCU. And honestly, just do like the comic book. Put them next to Spider-Man, which is where a lot of them inhabit. Not in Spider-Man comics, in their own comics, but they are very much street level characters, and they don't really need to be involved with the Avengers, even though Luke Cage did lead an Avengers team for a while, and many of these characters have been in Avengers and other teams and have teamed up with so many of the characters that we've seen in the MCU. So they can actually be in it, but they don't have to be. And honestly, I still think, much like the movies, they don't need to cross over. Them specifically, they can, and it would feel good, but they don't need to. If you do their own shows and just have characters in and out every so often, I think that'd be a good idea. He's saying it'll be a couple of years before we actually get all of them, but like I said, they are actively working toward getting them all in. And he's also said that everybody would return. Now, I have said for some time now, I don't want Finn Jones back as Iron Fist. Move on, get somebody else to play Finn Jones, or just make Iron Fist into the female version of Iron Fist that they've had in the comics for a while now. Either one, we've seen her in the show, so make her Iron Fist. But if we got to take Finn Jones back to get everybody else, I'm with that too. If you are a James Bond fan, then guess what? You're still not getting a new film, but at least we know that it is going into development to get a new film, but it won't be by the original crew. So Bond is going to live on, but it's going to live on at Amazon. The Bond franchise will be creatively controlled by Amazon now. Producers and co-owners Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson have decided to take a step back, and they've handed over control in a partnership all to Amazon. Amazon has had distribution rights for Bond for some time now after they bought MGM, the studio MGM, and all of their movie properties a few years ago. The last Bond film that we got was the astronomical hit in 2021, No Time to Die. That movie was $780 million after everything's said and done, and believe me, it was worth it. That was one fantastic Bond film. Right now, there is no script that they have written at the time, and there isn't even one in development, but knowing that they've passed the reins off themselves to Amazon, most likely we'll get some news about them. Hey, a script is being started, probably sometime before the year is over. And honestly, this to me shows that Amazon has the money and the time to develop newer scripts. They don't have to go to the well and dig up old movies and redo them. If they're going to do a new Bond movie, then that means they have time, money, and talent to do anything else that they want to do. So that's what I really want them to do. Start doing original movies. They don't have to go to the well, like I said, dig up all of these old MGM movies and rehash them. Do newer content. That's what people want. Even if it's not going to go to theaters, but I do want them to go to theaters, but even if it's not, and it's going to go directly to Amazon Prime TV, the movies, and start streaming, still do original content. That's what we want. That's what we need. We're going to end the news today by talking about Rihanna. Well, guess what? Outside of doing her fashion and being a model and a host and all these other things, where it looks like she's going back to being a singer, where she did a interview in Harper's Bazaar, a rare interview at that, where she says that she does have a new album on the way. It's almost done. She's been working hard on it. And if I'm not mistaken, this will be her 9th album, but her first album in, I want to say, just about 10 years or somewhere around there. It's got the internet buzzing with a whole bunch of people saying, hey, I'll believe it when I see it. Me, I'm somewhere in the middle where I believe her, but I'm still like, okay, when you say it's coming, but if you're going to give it to me, I'll believe it when I have it in my hands so I can listen to it. And in fact, she has a quote here that said, where she said, I've been in the studio the whole 8 years, but it didn't hit me. I was searching for it. I went through phases of what I wanted to do. This kind of album, not that album. I know it's not going to be anything that anybody expects, and it's not going to be commercial or radio digestible. It's going to be where my artistry deserves to be right now. Like I said, if we are getting a new album, I believe her. There's no reason for me to not believe her, but I'm still on the tip of once the album is in my hands and I hit play on Spotify or wherever I decide to listen to it, I'll believe it then. So that's all of our news for now. Don't forget to check our Instagram page at @the_Twee'quel_pod. We have just random things on there, not just entertainment, but personal things from me that'll just keep you entertained until the podcast drops new episodes. I'm going to take a break. When we come back, We're going to talk about Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. You know, we've gotten quite a bit of Spider-Man content over the past few years. We've gotten movies, we've gotten appearances in other movies, and now we have a new animated show. And to me, I don't know if we actually needed another animated show. We've had so much Spider-Man content that we really didn't need anything, much less an animated TV show. But I can't hate on it. Now, Spider-Man is not a character that needs an introduction. It's not one that needed this to be an origin story, even though this is kind of an origin story. He's one of the most beloved comic book characters that we have ever had. He's the common guy. The title itself points out exactly what the show is about and exactly what Spider-Man is. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Street level. We don't need Spider-Man running around with Captain America and everybody else solving international threats or cosmic threats. Spider-Man needs to be in the neighborhood taking care of his city. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what we got in this show. What we see is a very young Peter Parker growing into his powers and becoming friends with Harry Osborn, having Norman Osborn as basically the Tony Stark character from the movies, his type of mentor, which is what we've seen in comics for a long time. It's really good. Tonally, this show reminds me of the animated shows Spider-Man and Ultimate Spider-Man that ran between 2012 and 2020, respectively. Art style, a lot of people really don't like it. I do. It kind of reminds me of the old comic books under John Romita and Steve Ditko in its original form. To me, I like the art style. The only thing art and how things look that I didn't like is I didn't like how Harry Osborn looked. Pause. It's not because he's black, and I know a lot of people think that that's the case, but even if he's black or he looks black or he's darker skinned, whichever one you want to call it, that's not the problem. I don't like the man bun. I think it looks silly, but that's just me. That's a personal thing. I don't really hold it against the series in general, but to me, man buns look silly, especially on animated characters. Say whatever you want. That's just how I feel. Voice acting, amazing across the board. Every single voice actor fits their role. Every single voice actor does a great job. It's anchored obviously by Hudson Thames as Peter Parker and Coleman Domingo as Norman Osborn, but Kari Walgren and everybody else doing their voices, absolutely fantastic. The biggest plus to me is that the storytelling is confident and competent. I cannot say that enough. And honestly, you really can't say that about most of the Disney Plus shows, whether they're live action or animated or whatever. Most of the Disney Plus shows are okay at best, and you have some really good storytelling and really good. It's really competent and confident, like I said, like Loki. Loki was probably the best written Disney Plus show that we've seen thus far. But Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man is really good. They take their time to tell the story. Each of the characters have subplots and plots to them, but it's still centered around Spider-Man. And even when the other characters are being talked about and they have their own things going on, it still feels cohesive. It doesn't feel, stitched together like they're just throwing things at you and seeing what sticks. All of the characters get their time to shine. It's still centered around Spider-Man. Nothing lacks as far as the storytelling goes. And I appreciate that because, like I said, for most of the Disney Plus shows, you really can't say that about. For me, the biggest drawback to this show is that it's just an origin story for Spider-Man, which I don't really particularly think we need it. But in this particular case, because of the style and because of everything that's going on in the MCU, I think it's kind of okay to go back to the well, tell a pseudo, and this is not a complete origin story, but this is a pseudo origin story. It kind of takes the second step after the biting of the spider, and we get a kind of a halfway origin story to Spider-Man, and we watch him grow into being the hero and the Peter Parker. I would say, honestly, the way this feels like the run up to what we get with what we got with the Spider-Man movies, the original 3 with Maguire as Spider-Man. This kind of feels like it fits just before that and kind of bleeds into that. That's to me how it feels. But it is a really good series. If you haven't watched it, sit down and watch it. You will be highly entertained. I really enjoyed it. I sat and watched it with my kids. They love Spider-Man as is. Miles Morales is their favorite, by the way. But nevertheless, it's Spider-Man. Once you see the spider suit, it's all good. I love, and I truly love the fact that they went with the costume that he has with him not creating web within his body. That was a weird thing, and the fact that they have this one where he has to make the web. I truly enjoyed just sitting there and watching the series. It's not perfect. They have some plot holes, and I won't talk about them. I want you to see them, and I want you to watch the series, and you will see it. But overall, really good series. 8 out of 10, B plus. It's a lot of fun, and I'm pretty sure if you sit there and watch it, you will enjoy it. There is not enough words I can express for my shock, and that's the word I'm going to use at the moment. But my shock at the words of PK Subban when talking about the NBA. I watched the All-Star game or the All-Star tournament, whatever you want to call it, and I was thoroughly unimpressed. Honestly, the NBA All-Star weekend has been quite boring to me personally for years. And I'm not the only person to say that. If you are a fan of the NBA, you have to be honest. It hasn't been very good for quite some time. At the very least, a decade. Something is wrong in the NBA, and nobody's quite able to put their finger on it. At least that was until PK Subban had his words to say about the NBA and about everything that went down, especially over All-Star weekend. And honestly, I agree with him 100%.
It's based on the pride, honor, playing for the guy next to you. But what do fans resonate with? They resonate with what's real. I'm sick and tired of making athletes greats, all-time greats that aren't the best examples. The question, what are you playing for? Like, if you're really about it, if you're really about sports, then you're about two things, your teammates and the fans. And I'm sorry, it doesn't matter how much money you're making. When you do not show up to play, you're letting your teammates down. When you do not show up to play, you're letting the fans down. We talk about greatness and it being the longevity of somebody's career. I don't care if you play 50 years. I want your best 10. I want you on the court dominating. I want you to go all out. I want Michael Jordan. I want Kobe. That's what I want in every sport. That's the guy that I follow. You're a different version than that, you don't get my...
PK Subban is correct. The problem with the NBA is that there is a lack of just fire for the game. Are they getting paid? Yes. Do players play and we see the games? Yes. But even from the outside, people who are not centered on basketball as their favorite sport, because basketball is not my favorite sport. It is hockey. And that's why I know who PK Subban is. But for me to sit and watch the NBA, it has become a vastly boring experience. The problem with the NBA is just as he said, there is a lack of fire from players while they're playing the game. As some have said before, the NBA is too friendly. There are no rivalries in the NBA because the person that you're playing against when you're in the NBA could very well be your teammate in a matter of minutes. So people don't want to piss off their teammates. You can go back to the bad boy Pistons, the Bulls, the Lakers, the going to work Pistons. Every single team that you have ever seen that has won a championship, there's this small piece of contention where they want to be considered the best, not just win the championship and be champions. They wanted to be considered all-time greats. So when they got on the court, there's fire. You can see it in how they play. You don't really get that in the NBA anymore. And that's a problem. They want to grow the sport. They want to have it be a global game. They want to be recognized around the world, just like the NFL, although the NFL is only really popular in the United States. The NBA is a global game that can be bigger than the NFL if they actually had fire from the players. But really, I don't think the NBA needs to be like the NFL. PK alluded to it. They need to be like the NFL. Like the NHL. What they need to be is a collection of players for each team that will go to war for each other. The guy next to you, the guy wearing your uniform. If it just so happens that somebody on another team decides to don that uniform, then we'll deal with that when we cross that bridge. But that's not what we get right now, which is why the NBA is down and losing viewers and losing ratings on a monumental scale, game after game. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Because the problem with the NBA isn't centralized to the NBA. It's not even centralized to their feeder system from the G League and from college. The problem with the NBA starts in AAU. It starts in the high schools. You can't keep coddling and you can't keep telling these players, hey, you're really good, you're great, you're better than everybody else, but this is all you have to do. This is your brand. This is what you have to be in order to make the big money. There has to be a time to sit a player down and say, hey, I get it. You want to make money outside of the league because you don't have this 70-year career. You got to remember that LeBron's career is an aberration. That's an outlier. That does not happen all the time. Most players only play 5 to 10, maybe 12 years, 15 at max. 20? It's not really a thing. Most players do not do that. You can count the number of players that have played that long in the NBA, probably on both hands, and still have fingers and thumbs left over. No, there needs to be a serious conversation in the high school level, in the AAU levels. You have to instill the fire for the game itself, not just getting paid. And once that fire is gone, I don't think it'll ever come back. And if you really want to see what happens when that fire gets doused, look at where the NHL has been up until this very year with the Four Nations Cup. It has floundered. It has done its absolute best to stay relevant, and yet it can't. But this year with the Four Nations Cup, they put that fire back into the game. The fire that has been slowly pulled out of it is now coming back. And I got a feeling that NHL is going to take over the NBA and move into its number 3 spot as the most important sport in the United States real soon, or maybe even number 2. But we have time and we'll see as it goes. But as I said, PK Subban is correct. The fire is missing out of the NBA, and these players are going to have to do something drastically different going forward in order to find it. Because if they don't, then it's not just about losing ratings. It's about losing your league altogether. So that's it, and that's all. It's time for the last call. I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning in. You didn't have to. You could be doing anything else, but you decided to hang with me while I do this, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Like I said, it was going to be a short show. I had to get it in and get it out of the way. If you're looking for that Captain America review, it's coming. It's going to be its own separate video. I have tried to write this out, and the problem with writing it out so I can present it to you, present a really good review to you, is that everybody's lying about the movie. Is the movie good? Yes. Is the movie as good as a lot of people are saying? No. It's sort of in the middle, but when we get to the video, I promise you I will explain everything to you, but that's something that we're going to have to just wait till another day. But it is coming very soon, so just make sure you're subscribed to the channel, so once that drops, you will see it. But for now, it's time for us to go. I want you to take care of yourself, stay hydrated. It's Sunday, so if you didn't go to church, at least say a prayer for yourself. Keep yourself motivated. Don't do anything to hurt yourself. And remember, if you are feeling alone, if you need somebody to talk to, you're never alone. Pick up the phone, dial or text 988. There's always somebody there to talk to. And we should end this video the same way we end every video. God bless. I love you, and peace. See you next time.